For a limited time, we're giving away a Canon M6 Mark II. All you gotta do is go to videomaker.com/win to enter to win this camera. Enter today to win a Canon M6 Mark II. Go to videomaker.com/win.
Light is essential in cinema. How much light you use and how you choose to deliver it sets the mood and feel of a scene. In this video, we'll talk about what makes up the quality of light. We will cover hard light versus soft light modifiers, the role of shadows, and lastly, we will talk about the controllable qualities of light. The hardness or softness of light is gauged by the quality of the shadow it casts. Let's start with hard light. Hard light has a sharp, defined shadow edge and a deep, dark shadow. In this diagram, you can see that the edge of the light where the umbra meets the illuminated area is short, and umbra is the darkest part of a shadow. In nature, it's how shadows are cast at noon from the hot summer sun. If you want to create hard light, a good light to choose for the job is a Fresnel. A Fresnel is a light that can be focused using a stepped lens, like one found in a lighthouse. Hard light can be made into soft light using a modifier between the light and the subject. Soft light has a broad, gradual shadow edge and a transparent shadow. Soft light is a result of creating a larger lighting source, typically done with a modifier. In this diagram, you can see once the light has been softened by a softbox, the light casts a penumbra between the illuminated area and the umbra. This translates to a soft transition from light to dark. The penumbra is the partially shaded outer region of the shadow cast by an opaque object. In nature, clouds work well as light diffusion. The clouds take the sun, a small light source when compared with the size of the sky, and spread it across a larger area. The results are diffused shadows and even illumination. Modifiers are used to modify a light. The most common is a softbox. Use one to enlarge the surface area to allow for better light wrapping. Another less efficient option is a diffusion filter. This is a hazy filter that clips to the light and softens it. Lastly are honeycomb grids. They allow you to control light spill. It makes your light more directional. There are different angles available in honeycombs, like 10, 15, 20, and 30 degrees. The best way to communicate how much shadow you need for a scene is through its contrast ratio. The contrast ratio is the difference between the bright and dark areas of a scene. It's the comparison of the intensity of the light from which shadows fall to the light that fills in the shadow areas. Using a pre-designed contrast ratio across multiple scenes allows for consistency between shots. Take documentary interviews, for example. They are typically shot over multiple locations with multiple subjects. Calculating the contrast ratio for the interviews and reproducing it at every interview allows for the same lighting feel throughout. The amount of shadows left in a scene best indicates the mood. If the scene needs to be light and easy, light it like a sitcom. A sitcom is typically lit evenly with few shadows, whereas a crime drama's lighting will have a strong contrast. Intensity is how bright your light is. It's measured in lumens and is communicated in stops of light. The proximity of your light plays a big role in its intensity on your subject. When light cannot be dimmed, moving it away from the subject lowers its intensity. ND filters are not just used on cameras. If your light cannot be backed off or dimmed, then an ND filter lowers the intensity of the light on the subject. The color temperature of light goes by numerical values on the Kelvin scale that plot light color as a range from orange to blue. The location of the light as it pertains to your subject makes a big difference in how they feel to the viewer. Here are what different directions of lighting are. Side lighting is when the light lights the subject from one side. Just using a side light creates a high contrast ratio. This creates strong shadows on the side not lit. Backlighting is lighting that illuminates the subject from behind. This creates a silhouette of the subject. Front lighting is when the lighting is directly in front of the subject. This is typically an easy lighting setup to do. Even lighting is when the subject is illuminated with a low contrast ratio. The light needs to be even between the left and right sides of the subject. How your subject is illuminated greatly affects the mood and feel of your scene. Apply what you have learned today on your next project. Make sure to consider the quality of light you need to tell the best story.
For a limited time, we're giving away a Canon M6 Mark II. All you gotta do is go to videomaker.com/win to enter to win this camera. Enter today to win a Canon M6 Mark II. Go to videomaker.com/win.